Olybrius was a Roman emperor who reigned for a brief period during the 5th century CE, marking an era of intense political instability in the Western Roman Empire. He was the 95th emperor and is often seen as a minor figure in the history of Rome due to his short reign, limited influence, and the challenging times in which he lived. To understand Olybrius's reign, it's necessary to explore the context of the late Western Roman Empire, his background, and the events that led to his rise and eventual downfall. Olybrius was born into a distinguished senatorial family, possibly in the late 4th century. His exact birth year is not well documented, but he came from an elite and powerful lineage, which afforded him opportunities for advancement in Roman society. His family was part of the Roman aristocracy that was often involved in the political and military struggles of the time. Olybrius's full name was Flavius Olybrius, and he was related by marriage to some of the highest-ranking officials of the empire, including the powerful general and politician Stilicho, who was the guardian of the young emperor Honorius. In addition to his high-born status, Olybrius's career was shaped by the shifting allegiances and the dynastic struggles that characterized the politics of the late Western Roman Empire. His rise to power was not solely a result of military prowess or direct action. Instead, it was influenced by the complex network of political alliances and the ongoing struggles between various factions of the empire. The Western Roman Empire, by the time of Olybrius's reign, was in a state of rapid decline. The empire faced constant pressure from barbarian invasions, internal power struggles, and economic instability. Emperors in this period often had short reigns, and many were either assassinated or overthrown by rival factions. The emperors during the late 5th century were often puppets of military leaders or influenced by external forces. One of the most significant events in the history of the Western Roman Empire during this time was the sack of Rome in 410 CE by the Visigoths under King Alaric. This event shocked the Roman world, signaling the empire's vulnerability. Further invasions and internal strife continued to weaken the imperial structure, leading to the eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE. Olybrius's reign occurred during this tumultuous period, making it part of a larger narrative of imperial decline. Olybrius's path to the imperial throne was largely facilitated by the political instability that had gripped the Western Roman Empire. In 472 CE, the Western Roman Emperor Anthemius, a relatively competent ruler, was overthrown in a coup led by the general Ricimer. Ricimer, a powerful figure of Germanic descent who had become a de facto ruler of the Western Empire, was known for his manipulation of imperial politics and for installing and deposing emperors at will. After the fall of Anthemius, Ricimer sought to consolidate his control by placing a puppet emperor on the throne. At this time, Olybrius was a plausible candidate for the role of emperor. He had strong connections to the imperial court, especially through his marriage to a daughter of the prominent general and senator Petronius Maximus. These family ties, combined with his background in the aristocracy, made him a useful figure for Ricimer, who sought a ruler who would be easily controlled. In 472 CE, Olybrius was declared emperor, but his reign was to be short and marked by external and internal challenges. Olybrius's reign lasted only a few months in 472 CE until his death. Given the brevity of his time in power, Olybrius's rule is not characterized by significant military or administrative achievements. His reign took place amid the backdrop of ongoing conflict between the various factions that sought control over the Western Roman Empire. The primary challenge during Olybrius's reign was the conflict between Ricimer, who continued to act as the true power behind the throne, and the competing forces within the Roman aristocracy and military. In terms of foreign affairs, the Western Roman Empire faced significant threats from both the Visigoths and the Vandals. The Vandal king Genseric had already established a strong foothold in North Africa, and his forces continued to raid Roman territories. The Visigoths, under their king Euric, also exerted pressure on the empire. These external forces strained the resources of the empire and weakened its ability to resist invasion or rebellion. Internally, the Western Roman Empire was racked by factionalism, and the leadership of Ricimer was both a source of stability and instability. While he helped install Olybrius as emperor, Ricimer's own ambitions and power struggles led to tensions within the empire. Ricimer himself died later in 472 CE, just after Olybrius's death, further exacerbating the empire's chaotic political environment. Olybrius's reign ended when he died in 472 CE, likely due to illness. His death marked the end of his brief and largely ineffective rule. Following his death, Ricimer's influence continued to shape the politics of the Western Roman Empire. Ricimer's death later that same year further complicated the power struggle. The Western Roman Empire would go on to experience more turmoil, and the imperial throne would change hands several times in the following years. Olybrius's death and the political turmoil that followed symbolized the weakening of central authority in the Western Roman Empire. By this time, the empire was no longer able to maintain its former strength, and the leadership of the Western Roman Empire would ultimately collapse a few years later, when the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed in 476 CE by the barbarian chieftain Doacer. Olybrius is not remembered as a major figure in Roman history, and his reign is often considered inconsequential compared to those of more famous emperors. His brief time in power did little to halt the decline of the Western Roman Empire, and he is often viewed as a puppet emperor installed by Ricimer to further the general's own political agenda. However, Olybrius's reign serves as a reminder of the fragmentation and instability that characterized the last years of the Western Roman Empire. His brief ascension to the throne highlights the role of military power and political factions in determining the course of Roman history during this period. Ultimately, Olybrius's reign, like many others of his time, was a fleeting moment in the long process of the empire's disintegration. The Western Roman Empire would soon fall entirely, and Olybrius would be just one of many emperors who briefly held power in a crumbling system.